You want abundance in your life. You see other people enjoying nice things, nice experiences. You see others prospering in their businesses. You want more of that in your life. And I'm going to share with you some things that are not always discussed about abundance. My name is Andre Taylor, and on this channel I explore premier living, luxury, and prosperity. In this video, I'm going to share with you some thoughts about abundance. And of course, abundance includes that good stuff that we love called money. Yes, we're going to talk about money and abundance and prosperity and what that means and how you can have more of that in your life. You know, abundance is always flowing. It's all around us. When you walk down the street and you see a restaurant full of people, you're seeing abundance. When you see people come in and out of a bank, you're seeing abundance. When you see businesses flourishing and you see people coming and going, even when they're commuting, going through a terminal like Grand Central Terminal here in New York, you're seeing abundance. Now you might ask, how does that relate to my own experience? How does that matter? How does seeing someone else enjoying a restaurant, living in a beautiful home, driving a beautiful car, experiencing great things relate to my desire for abundance? I mean, how can it matter if a restaurant is full and you can't go in? How could it matter if there are beautiful things all around and you can't purchase them? But the first step in understanding abundance is realizing that it's always flowing. It isn't something that is not available. It isn't something that's out of reach. And certainly if you live in a big city like I do, you see it all around you. So it's very easy to think that because you don't have the money in your bank account, or because you don't have a particular experience, or your business is not booming in the way that it should, that somehow abundance and prosperity are distant. But in reality, it's always flowing. And understanding that is the first step toward getting more abundance in your life. You might think that abundance only relates to money. And of course, abundance includes money. But one important aspect of abundance is understanding that it includes more than money. And when you begin to realize that and look at abundance in its broadest sense, you'll have a greater capacity to attract abundance in your life and business. In fact, you'll realize that it is already there. Now, I have to tell you that as soon as you begin to realize that it is there, new kinds of abundance, new levels of abundance, new examples of abundance will come your way. And this is particularly evident when you run a business. So often when you run a business, you're searching for clients, you're searching for opportunity, you're trying to close deals, you're trying to get contracts signed. But when you begin to look at your business more completely, you begin to realize that there are other aspects that you haven't followed up on, other opportunities you haven't pursued, other conversations you haven't completed. And you realize that there is abundance all around you. I learned about abundance very early in life. I began to understand that abundance was something that began in your mind. But that did not prevent me from being tested. And you will be tested when it comes to abundance, because you will have circumstances that surface that will challenge your sense of abundance. It will challenge your awareness of abundance around you. And it will challenge your belief in abundance, because a lot of signs around you will suggest that that abundance is not possible. And in fact, those signs will feel pretty real. But you will have to have the ability, no matter what you see, to proceed believing in abundance, expecting abundance, conveying abundance in order to see it in your life. I find that being tested forces you to consider what you really believe. Do you believe in your abilities? Do you believe in your product? Do you believe in your sales skills? Do you believe in your industry? Do you believe in your creativity? Do you believe in your energy? Do you believe in your team? Does abundance come from certain professions? Does it come from certain industries? Does it come from certain products? Now, these are certainly channels, but there are all kinds of ways that abundance can show up in your life and business. So don't get blinded by one particular way. Often when I'm coaching someone in business, I will find that there is an area of their business that they're not pursuing, that they're not developing, where abundance is present and possible in bigger ways. And so understanding that, looking at your business, looking at your sales territory, even looking at a client relationship and realizing that there's more there is crucial to understanding what abundance is about. You see, most people are blinded to the abundance that's in their presence. They're blinded to what's available to them in a big city, in a town that has lots of resources. But we can take this down to a very specific level. If you run a business, there are people that you might not have billed and you should bill. There are products that you have created and that you own that you're not selling. There are clients who would like to work with you if they were presented with another offer. There are creative ways of presenting what you have available. There are new skills you can apply to what you do that will lead to abundance. So understanding that abundance is always present and flowing will make you look at what you do differently. It'll make you assess whether you're taking advantage of everything that's possible for you to leverage in terms of more money, more prosperity, and more abundance. I've seen people even find money that is in bank accounts that they abandoned. They didn't even realize it was there, and they can claim it. I've seen people have insurance policies and all sorts of money available to them, and they find that when they go to a particular website or they consult with someone that this money has been sitting there and they haven't taken advantage of it. So it all begins with understanding it's always flowing, and in fact, it might be present, but you're ignoring it because you're looking only at what's missing. One thing I see in luxury, for example, are undervalued brand names, undervalued intellectual property, undervalued positioning in the market. So you have a product or a product name that people know, but it's not fully leveraged. It isn't taken advantage of. New aspects of that name are not introduced and leveraged. And this is probably something that's happening in your own area. I even discovered in my business, there was a product that I had released some years back. And someone said to me, "Do you remember that series that you had? I still listen to that. And I still look at that." And I said, "Really?" And it reminded me that it was something that I could make available for sale. So when you think of abundance, think of not only the fact that it's all around you and it's flowing and it's there and it's present, and that there might be some very tangible paths to finding abundance that you can uncover, like money sitting in a bank account. There's also things that you're not leveraging, like your brand names, your products, your positioning, your geography even. Abundance is a contact sport. That means you cannot become blinded by the hard facts of the moment. You have to get in contact with your ideas. You have to get in contact with people. You have to get in contact with the marketplace, and you must leverage every asset you have for abundance. I remember when I went through a period in my business where we had a major setback and I had to figure out how I was going to reposition myself and do some new things. There were kernels of abundance that I had created, and I just had to make them more valuable. I just had to lean into them and make them more significant. And of course, it took time and it took energy and it took belief. But in doing so, I was able to carve out a new area of my business. I began writing more. I began speaking more. I began consulting more, things that I always did, but I began doing them more deliberately. And I began to become known by those things I had taken for granted, things that I didn't charge for, things that I now realize that I could turn into an asset in my business. And that blossomed into a whole aspect of my business that didn't exist prior to that. It was always there, but it didn't exist in the form that it exists today. But that came from valuing it and recognizing it and realizing that by getting in contact with those ideas and staying in contact with these ideas was key to realizing abundance in my life and business. I think one of the first things you should do when it comes to understanding abundance is express gratitude for whatever you have. I know when I'm speaking in front of a group, one of the first things I will say to them is thank you for joining me today. Thank you for your confidence. Thank you for giving me your time. What a great moment this is. What a great event this is. What a great opportunity this is. When you acknowledge what's there, that sets you up to enjoy it and benefit from it more. I want you to reconnect to abundance, no matter where you are, no matter what the circumstances. I'll never forget when I had that fire in my apartment and I came back to the building to pick up a few things that a neighbor was holding. And when I came into the apartment and she showed me some of the things that she had for me, there was her family across the room sitting at a table ready for dinner, and I saw them gathering. And for a moment, when I looked at that, I thought, wow, this is something that I don't have right now. And then I began to feel heartened by looking at the experience. Seeing the beauty of her family breaking bread reminded me that I had a family too. And that even though there was some disruption, there was a capability of having those kinds of moments again with family and friends, and that I would get through this period. And I did. Never linger in shortage. I see people often and they are enjoying great prosperity, but they are drifting into discussion of shortage and lack and what's missing in their life. And this is dangerous territory because the more you begin to pay attention to those kinds of things, the more you'll have to pay attention to those things because things will start to disrupt in your life. So pay attention to abundance, respect abundance, acknowledge abundance, stay connected to abundance, and never focus on shortage. When I have been in situations where there has been shortage, I have always thought about the abundance of the moment, no matter what that is. The joy of the moment, no matter what that is. The goodness in the experience, no matter what that is. And you'll see that when it comes to business, some of the great business minds and turnaround artists, when they look at a business, they can look at a business and see what's there that other people can't see. They can see some aspect of that business that can be magnified and improved. And that's the key. Not looking at what's missing or lacking, but looking at what's there and making sure that you build on that. Now, the mind can be tricky because you can think that these things are very important when it comes to focusing on what's missing. But I've seen people who are technically poor and have a wealthy mindset. And I've seen people who are wealthy who have a poor mindset. So it really shows you that the mind is really key when it comes to understanding abundance and experiencing it in your life and business. It's a matter of what you're willing to focus on and what you're willing to spend time on. If you're willing to spend time on recognizing the abundance that is there and building on that and believing in that, you will have more abundance in your life. New abundance is near you. It's something that I realized when I began to be acquainted with people who were very successful. Even when there were periods where there might have been dips in their income and dips in their business, they still carried themselves and thought of themselves as successful and abundant. And that's because they realized that abundance is not just about the good green stuff. It's about creativity, it's about ideas, it's about confidence and capacity. And a person who has done it once knows they can do it again. And so they're not concerned about a temporary scenario that is not quite where they want it to be. They're focused on the fact that they're looking for the right opportunities, the right situations to invest in. They might be playing a long game. They may be investing in doing things that you don't see. Sometimes you'll see someone emerge on the scene who has been quiet for a while, maybe a recording artist or an author, and you'll wonder, where has this person been? And then you'll realize, well, they were creating new music. They were writing a new book. Where did this abundance come from? It came from the mind. It was there. But they valued it, they worked on it, and now they're sharing it with the world. Now here's a key trick. If you want more abundance in your life and in your business, I want you to take stock of the feeling of abundance. What are the emotions you feel when there's abundance in your life? What does it feel like when there's a breakthrough, when there's a new opportunity, there's a new client, there's a new project, or you're lifted from financial pressures? What does it feel like when you're inspired to connect with a particular person and that person creates new levels of inspiration, new levels of vision? I want you to normalize the feeling of abundance. Become aware of what you can say to underscore your abundance. I'm in one of the top industries in the world. I work in one of the greatest cities in the world. I'm doing something that few people do. I figured out something about this business that a lot of people don't know. I have very deep experience in this area. I have high energy and commitment. I have unusual talent in this area. I've got a great attitude. I've got something that's worth a lot. I just have to find more people to take advantage of it. My business is one of the few businesses that offer this kind of capability. You see, these are examples of how you can reclaim and stay connected to abundance and develop that feeling. It feels good to be in this industry. It feels good to offer this product. It feels good to be committed to this area. It feels good to be creative. It feels good to continue to work on this objective. It feels good to service this client. It feels good to be able to work on this project. The more you relate to abundance, understand it, appreciate it, and claim it, the more abundance will be in your life. Now take a look at this message.